Well, good morning. Welcome to another Thursday Thoughts. I hope you're all doing okay. Hope you've got maybe a cup of something by you and that you're comfortable just to listen to me drone on for a few minutes. I've been out already this morning, and it's a little bit chilly today, but there have been some sunny spells and a few showers. It's not a weather forecast, but a couple of days ago, about 2 days ago, it was absolutely pouring with rain. The wind and the rain was lashing around the house. I think there was 50 centimetres of rain in some parts of the UK just the other day. And as I went to bed on Monday evening, I could hear stuff being blown around in the garden. And I just thought, what are we going to wake up to tomorrow? Well, it did remind me of an incident that we find that we're told about in the Gospels, and the Gospels are the stories of Jesus' life that we find in the New Testament, and they write particular instances down, and they write them down for a reason. So let's read one of these incidents from the New Testament. It's from Mark chapter 4, verses 35 to 41. On that day, when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us go across to the other side." And leaving the crowd, they took him with them in the boat, just as he said, and other boats were with him. And a great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking into the boat, so the boat was already filling. But he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. And they woke him up and said to him, "Teacher, don't you care that we are perishing?" And he woke up and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." The wind ceased, and there was a great calm. He said to them, "Why are you so afraid? Have you so little faith?" And they were filled with great fear and said to one another, "Who then is this, that even the wind and the sea obey him?" Well, it had been a long day preaching, and Jesus and the disciples set back off across the Lake of Galilee in a boat to go home. It had been a long day, so he was tired, and Jesus fell asleep in the back of the boat. But as he did so, a big storm blew up around them, and they were in fear for their lives. The boats were starting to sink, and they were worried. So they woke Jesus up, and they asked the question, "Don't you care? Don't you care that we're perishing?" And Jesus got up, and he rebuked the winds and the waves. He told them off, in other words, and in 3 words, "Peace, be still," everything was suddenly calm and everything was quiet. Now, some people would explain that away and say, well, it was just coincidence, but it seemed very obvious to the disciples who were there at the time that this was something important, and it was important enough for them to write it down. Now, they asked the question, well, who is this person that he can tell the wind and the waves off? Well, it's a bit of a rhetorical question, isn't it? Because there's only one person who's got that power and that ability to command the natural world around him to do what he wants. And that's God. And every page of the New Testament tells us over and over and over again that this Jesus is the Son of God. It was written to people who'd put their trust in him. But they were reaffirming, they were encouraging these people to understand that the person they trusted was God, was the Son of God. He was God incarnate, in other words. He was God in the flesh. Now, it's a fallacy that in the New Testament, miracles were 10 a penny. They weren't, actually. They were there, and they're recounted to us for specific reasons. They usually underlined or reinforced a message, or sometimes, in the case of Jesus, they showed exactly who he was, as in the case of this one. There's always a reason for the miracle being recounted to us. They were there to be instruments of teaching and instruments of learning. Jesus stilling this storm illustrates just who Jesus was, that he had authority over the wind and the waves. So who was he? Well, he was God. He was God in the flesh. What did he teach them? Well, they asked 2 questions, didn't they? Who is this person? I think they got their answer. And secondly, did he care? Well, they learned pretty emphatically, yes, he did care. And it taught them about exactly who he was and that he had the power to care. Now, does that mean that Jesus automatically sorts all our problems out in our life if we come to him. Does it mean that if we wake him up and get him involved, then suddenly everything's okay? Well, occasionally, sometimes, yes, that can happen. I've seen it happen. But more often, it has to be said, he brings us to a point, or he gives us the strength, or he works a situation out that we come through it and we come out the other side. Now, let's be clear, it's never a bad thing, is it, to have the Son of God in the boat with you? It's never a bad thing to have God involved in whatever the problem is. And does he care? Well, yes, he does. Sometimes it's difficult to see that in the midst of everything that's going on around you. In the middle of the storm, the disciples questioned that, didn't they? But yes, he does. Does he have the power to help us through the storm? Yes, he does. That can be difficult to see sometimes when the storm is raging and, it's been a particularly difficult one. But it helps if we see the storm as a way of teaching us something and ask the question, well, what's it teaching me? Sometimes the answer to that question is, well, don't be so stupid next time, because sometimes the storm is of our own making. But often it's about trust and it's about obedience. And the greatest lesson we can ever learn from a problem or a difficulty is that we trust Jesus more, that we learn more about who he is, and we learn more about the power that is in his life that he can give to us. And the greatest power, of course, is the power to make us clean, make us right with God, give us eternal life. That's the fantastic bit. That's the amazing thing. Well, anyway, there's a very famous preacher called Charles Haddon Spurgeon, who lived and preached in the 19th century in London. And there's a famous quote from him, and he says this: "I've learned to bless the waves that throw me against the rock of ages." I've learned to bless the waves that throw me against the rock of ages, because it's in the difficulty that we get blown onto Jesus and find out what a rock he is, and what a strength he is, and what a power he is. And we learn just who he is, and that he does care. Well, I think we've answered those questions the disciples asked, haven't we? If you've got those questions, maybe, articulate them to God. If you want to articulate them to us, there's a means via the website, or you're welcome to join us on Sundays. We are meeting together again. If you're coming, maybe let us know that you're coming, because we've got to kind of arrange the seating in such a way that we can all fit in. But please let us know, and please look at whatever's going on around you and just ask, what's this teaching me? And is it teaching me more about who Jesus is and what he can do for me? Well, I hope the weather stays fine. I hope you enjoy your weekend. I'm going to enjoy my coffee. Have a good day. Have a good weekend. See you in the near future.